welcome back to the Speedy's Garage YouTube channel. This week we're going to be talking some more about the little RC car I've been fooling with. If you follow along, or if you have been following along, you saw that we did the bolt-on setup last time, some upgrades, very minor compared to what a lot of people do, with the limited slip differentials, some mud guards and some bumpers and stuff. That's all working out really well. The old school body looking pretty good on here, and I thought, you know, I'd kind of like to have some lights. I started noticing, especially with it getting darker sooner, I'd be out playing around with it and I'd lose track of if it was going away from me or coming toward me. And I thought, if I put some lights on it, you know, red in the back and white in the front, I would know which direction the vehicle was traveling and it would help me drive it when it was starting to get a little bit dark. But then I thought, you know, I could actually do something cool with the body at the same time and try to come up with something really neat and durable. This is what's known as a basher. So these are meant to be junked, and a lot of people get pretty rough with them, like I've shown you before. I don't get that crazy with it, but this gave me an opportunity to, you know, I enjoy engineering solutions to things, and this gave me an opportunity to try, so I'm going to try to do, is engineer a lighting solution for the body. A lot of people put them actually in the chassis so that the lights stay with the vehicle no matter what body you put on. But honestly, if I'm going to go out and get really crazy with it, I'll put a different body on that I'm not as worried about, and if it crashes or gets dinged up, not that big of a deal. When I'm just having fun with it, I'd like a nicer body on it, which is going to be something like this Notorious over here. And I thought a really cool, nice lighting system in it, but I want it to still be durable and still be able to jump it and have a good time with it, but maybe not flip it over backwards and all that kind of stuff like some people do. So I'm going to show you what I've come up with so far. The first thing I did is I started kind of checking around on the internet for RC lighting systems. I thought surely somebody makes something, and sure enough they do. The problem is that they were a little more expensive than I thought they should be for what they are. I've dealt with electronics before. If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know I've got an engineering background, so I don't really have a problem putting together my own stuff like that. I've done a lot of lighting projects over the years. The Forerunner, Project Sport Runner is a big one where we did all the LED running lights and all of that stuff in it. And so I figured, you know, based on what I was finding online and the price that they cost, I could actually build it myself for much cheaper. So I just went online and started looking for parts, and I got some 3mm LEDs, some LED light buckets, which is what those are, some extensions, and you'll notice these are kind of what they call servo extensions, but because they have a 3-prong connector on each end, a power and a ground, and then a signal. Probably won't need the signal for most part of it, but the LEDs only need power and ground, obviously. Be careful if you start buying LEDs. Keep in mind that they are usually designed to run at a certain voltage. That's something you need to be aware of. The truck puts out, I tested it with a multimeter, the ESC puts out right around 7 volts on the channel that these are going to run on. I'll get to that, more about that in a minute. But I picked up some LEDs, and I got enough LEDs and buckets and extensions and all of that to probably make 10 kits. And I think all of it was about 30 bucks. So $3 a set was a whole lot cheaper. The other stuff I was finding was anywhere from $12, $15, $20, even $30 for one set. And I can build 10 sets for $30, and it's $3 a set. My ESC, which is the receiver in the truck, has an auxiliary channel. Auxiliary channel. Try to say that 3 times fast if you had a cocktail. And it can accept a switch. And so you have a couple of options. You can just plug the LEDs in and they run all the time. But I thought, you know, wouldn't it be cool if, you know, I'm driving around and I decide I want the lights to come on, and I can use the transmitter, push the button, and they come on. Well, this SLT3, this button, it's only momentary. It means when you push it, it's on. When you let go, it's off. I reached out to Horizon Hobby, which is who this kit, you know, the truck and everything came from. They said there's no way to change that. This is kind of a bargain basement transmitter. And they said you can get a DX3 transmitter, which has a programmable button on it that'll do exactly what you want it to do for the low price of, like, you know, $89, $99 or whatever. And I thought, man, that's a lot just to get that feature. Again, looked around online and found a brand new one for cheap. Turn that back off. Programmable button. I've already set it all up. It's a much nicer transmitter, but it's not getting into the hundreds of dollar price transmitters that some of the more advanced people might want or need. This is all I needed for now. Got it for 30 bucks. So brand new out of the box. So now we're good to go on that. So now what that allows me to do is take this little $10, $9.99 digital switch, plug it into my auxiliary port on the computer or the receiver in the truck. And when I push the button, I keep turning it on. Second time I've done that. Come on, turn off. There we go. It will activate the switch. Lights plug into it. Lights come on. I can turn them on and off from the transmitter, which will be pretty cool. Got the switch, and I did put some glue in it. It was pretty well sealed up with a little rubber protective coating, but I went ahead and filled the ends of it up with glue just to make sure it's pretty well water resistant. Remember, I'm trying to make this pretty durable. And then I started trying to play with the light setup. And what I did are 3mm red LEDs for the back. They'll be tail lights. And there's the little bucket that it's in. These are actually metal. And they come with a little screw to hold them in place. So I thought that would work out pretty good. And I've gone ahead and put some additional, this is kind of what they look like out of the package, which isn't bad. Talked about voltage before. These have a resistor built in, so they can take some voltage and won't burn out. So that was nice. These are, I think, 7 to 12 or 9 to 12 volt LEDs. So that means they can handle that much voltage. You can, when you buy them, it's not complicated. When you buy them, just make sure you understand if they have a resistor or not, if you're not familiar with all that stuff. Then I put some additional heat shrink over it so that when I put it in the bucket, and then I filled it with glue, so now it's sealed up, and it makes it a little more durable. It'll handle vibrations and all of that. So that's the back ones. That's what they're gonna look like. For the front, I started kind of taking some inspiration. You know, this old school looking body, I wanted something that looked old school. So 1959 Ford F100. If you go look that up, I'll put a little picture to it right here. That's where the inspiration for the light setup that I'm going to use came from. And I wanted large buckets in the front. And at first I was like, I'm just gonna do one light on each side. Well, then I got to thinking about that 1959 Ford F100. It's actually a dual headlight on each side. So the idea is gonna be to run 2 on each side. And so these are, I want them to be bigger so that they made sense and they look proportionate to the vehicle body. So I picked up some 10mm LEDs. These are what the headlights are gonna be. Pretty good size LED. As you can see, you put it in there, it's gonna look pretty good. And they're gonna be bright enough for me to see them and all that good stuff. So, went ahead and I've started getting these or preparing these, getting them ready. I put additional heat shrink on those, again for durability. They come with a cap in the back, and little 3mm ones did too, but the way the wiring and everything fits in there, there's no space for the cap. So, didn't use it on that, that's why I used glue. These are gonna have a little cap in the back, which I've drilled a hole for. And I've been doing some test fitting and whatnot. This will slide up on the LED like so. And then when you put it in the bucket, it seals up. And the only thing is, I always like to push so I don't hurt the wiring. These have a little bit of a space in this, inside this cap. I'm gonna fill that space with hot glue. Again, for durability, it'll absorb some of the vibration, things of that nature, and should be good to go. The last thing I had to consider is this is an old 1950s looking body. I wanted to match that. 1950s, they didn't have HID headlights and bright white headlights and all that. They were all incandescent. So I'm gonna turn this light off so y'all can see this. This is a little battery pack, puts out about 5 volts, which is what these LEDs will be good for in that range. Let me show you this. I wanted it to look incandescent. So you can see there, it's gonna kind of be yellowy or a yellow light. That's important if you want it to look like it's supposed to and like it belongs in that truck. Otherwise it would be bright white, like snow white color light. LEDs are measured in Kelvin, I think color temperature. And these are what's called warm white. Now, I don't remember the color temperature, it's probably 4,000 or something. The white would be like 6,000. So the 4,000s will look good. And then for the back, I already told you it's red, but I'll show it to you just so you can see. Is it on? Yeah. So that's what the back's gonna look like. Hopefully you can see that. And it should look pretty good once it gets in the truck. So now let's get to work on that body. I had to pick up a couple of tools, and I like buying tools, so this is right up my alley. I needed a body kit. It came with this, I don't know what you call this, hole saw, but it has a cap on it, looks like that. And some of the guys that have started, or gals too, I guess maybe, that have started following the channel as a result of me getting into RC said they saw me drilling on this body when I did the body video, and they were like, man, you need to get you a body kit. It came with the little pin looking deal and a couple of pairs of body scissors. And I'll leave a link in the description. I'll try to find the lights, the buckets and everything, and I'll link it below, as well as this little tool set. I've been pretty impressed. It wasn't very expensive, and it has made things easier and nicer than trying to use a drill. It gives you more precision. So went ahead and got one of the tail lights started, and I had to kind of measure out, figure out where the wing and all the back of the truck was going to be in terms of the chassis. And so I picked out that corner, which worked out nice. I've already put the nut on the back of it, got it all cinched in, and then we'll figure out the wiring in a minute. But the way this thing works is you just kind of, I'll try to do this so you can see it. You kind of start, put it right in the center where you want it to be, and you just start turning it. And it will start to cut through the body and give you a perfectly round hole. I'll give you a little close-up of this, but you can kind of see that there. And I know I need to stop it about 4 millimeters on the, it's graduated. Hopefully you can see that. So I'm going to stop on 4, and I should have right about the right hole size for my light. Hole's done. I'm going to feed the wiring through. And I wanted it tight enough that it would really support that light bucket. So that would probably, if I just squirted a little bit of hot glue on the back side of this, it would probably be good to go. But like I said, they do come with these little nuts. So I am going to go ahead and install that just for extra security on that light. The front was almost the exact same process. And I think that looks pretty good with the quad, or the dual rather, headlights on each side. The difference between it and the rear, which that was pretty easy. I just had to kind of eyeball, and I took a couple of quick measurements, but I knew based on where the corners were, where I wanted the lights to be. The fronts were a little bit more tricky, and you've heard the expression, measure 3 times, cut once, measure twice, cut once, whatever. This was measure 10 times and put the hole in once, because you only get one shot at it. And I used a micrometer to take really detailed measurements of how tall the grill area was, how wide it was, how far inset I wanted the lamps to be. And you have to remember the back side of these buckets have a nut and a washer, so you have to leave room for those to go on the bucket. And considering there's 2 of them side by side, so I got them to where they would exactly touch. I mean, they are as close together as they could possibly be, and it means there's just a very small space between the buckets in the front, which is fine. That's pretty much what a normal car looks like. They're never just touching each other. So there's just a very small area between the 2, and that turned out really, really good. And I thought, you know, that's it. I got headlights and tail lights. Well, I got to kind of thinking about the body, and there's this spot right here, which would actually look really good if there was an orange running light in there. I looked and looked and looked, and I thought, surely there is some model or other RC car, surely there's something I can find out there that's meant for, you know, anything, and I can fabricate it. It's part of hot rodding, right? We're gonna make it work. Fabricate to fit in there. I searched the internet for a week, and I really couldn't find anything. What I decided to do is to come up with something a little bit custom, and it gave me the opportunity to learn something new. And that's, you know, part of it for me. I like learning all this stuff and fooling with stuff. So I've got something in mind, but that's enough for tonight. We'll be back in a little while. It's been a couple of days, and I had to come up with something custom, like I was telling you guys, for the running lights. And luckily I came across a guy, he runs 3D RC, and that should give you a hint. He actually does 3D printing of parts. And working with him and a little bit of CAD program that I had to learn, I was able to design a lamp for the running light. And I kind of got it started and sent him the file or the image for what I wanted it to look like, and then let him kind of finish it up and put it together. And it turned out great. Let me show you what we got. So we got the lens, which is orange, and it's hard to believe this is literally printed from one of those 3D. It's kind of like a flexible plastic. And then he actually added the bezels. I didn't even have that in my design. He added that, which I think is kind of nice. So the bezel slides over the lens, and then the idea is that the backing plate will sandwich the lens between, you know, a couple of holes in the body. So then this will slide on and your LED will set in here, and then a couple of screws, which he included, bolt it together. Now remember, this is a vehicle or a RC car that's meant to be treated kind of rough, so I have to make it as durable as I possibly can. So now I'm going to kind of fiddle with this a little bit and see what kind of mounting and durability I can come up with to get it to work in the truck. And there they are. So I hit the bezels with some silver paint so that they would match the headlights. The fit and finish is good, 3D printed. It's exactly what I was going for, and the silver kind of looks aged like I would think it should for this style of truck. And then you can kind of see how it's bolted together. I ended up using a little bit different screw on the back that was coarser thread, and I think they're stainless steel and a little washer to kind of give me a little bit of a backing. And now I just got to figure out routing of the wiring. You end up with quite a few wires, 2 each on the LEDs. These are 3mm LEDs that fit in here just fine. They're amber in color. So now I just got to figure out how I'm going to run the wires so that they're secured. I'm going to use some of this aluminum tape, and then some drywall tape and some shoe goo adhesive to kind of finish it all up. So that's the plan anyway. Here's where it's at so far. Ran all the red wires together and soldered them with my trusty cordless soldering iron. I cannot tell you how many projects I have completed with this thing. And same for the black. Put a little zip tie around it to kind of tidy it up, and then we're just going to use some of that aluminum tape to fix it in place and keep working our way back. There's the wiring all ran, nice and tidy. This is the lead that will connect to the digital switch or electronic switch to activate the lights. Now I just need to put some drywall tape and shoe goo in here to not only firm up the body but also protect the wiring. Again, this thing's going to get not beat on. I'm going to keep this body sort of nice, but I still want it to be as durable as I can possibly make it. So that's next, and then it's ready for a rip. Drywall tape and shoe goo done. You can see I went ahead and put the roll bar back in, and I did put the lead around that so that when I'm plugging and unplugging it, it does have a little bit of support here. And then just some strategically placed little drops of hot glue. Should be as durable as I'm going to be able to make it anyway. So let's see how it looks. This is the little digital switch that you're going to need if you want the lights to work with the transmitter. I'll leave a link in the description. It's like 10, 11 bucks where you can get one. And it just plugs into the aux 1 or auxiliary 1 port on the receiver. All right, let's test the switch. Oh, it works. So yeah, I'm controlling the lights with the A and B button on the transmitter, which is perfect. Well, that turned out great. It ended up looking exactly like I had envisioned it in my head. The 3D printed running lights turned out perfect and were a nice touch. And now I can tell when the vehicle's going away from me or toward me when it starts to get dark. So mission accomplished. Now, I just got to figure out how I'm going to customize this body. So that's it for today. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I hope you did. Be sure to check us out on Instagram. It's @Speedy's_garage, as well as our website, www.speedys_garage.com. www.speedysgarage.net. Don't forget to hit subscribe if you haven't already, and hopefully I'll see you out there.